Something. Mayor Mike McCormick joins us in the studio. We are getting closer and closer to April the 1st, Mayor.
Bring it on. I can't wait.
I bet.
I can't wait to win or lose. Hopefully I'm going to win, but I just want the thing over.
Well, and you know what? It's one of those, I couldn't imagine, all the work that is done, campaigning, let people know that you are running again, all the work. And then on top of it, village business continues too.
Exactly. It's been very hectic, but we're taking care of the residents of the village, but we're also running a campaign. I'm very fortunate to have a campaign manager that is doing the heavy work on my campaign.
Oh, for sure.
My big job is writing checks.
Well, right now as it sits, we're a few weeks away from the consolidated election, and you've had a chance to meet with various, constituents, various voters, public figures. What are their thoughts on just the state of the village?
Oh, you could ask 95, 96, 97% of the residents of the village of Godfrey, and they're happy. They love it. That's why they live here.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people are moving here. I have a granddaughter that was living over outside of Clayton.
Mm-hmm.
She just recently moved back to Godfrey. I have a granddaughter who's a teacher up in Carrollton. She chose to live in Godfrey. And just by the building permits going out and the zone, we inspect a house before it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Young people are coming to Godfrey, and I think a lot of that has to do with our parks.
Mm-hmm.
Like last year in our soccer program, which you're involved in soccer.
Yep.
We had right at 1,000 kids.
Wow.
And that is wow.
It really is, because just on the soccer side of things, when Charlie was still alive and doing the Alton Park and Rec over there years ago, it was kind of a flip where it was right. He had about 1,400 participants at one point in time, and now I've just kind of seen that where the program really is growing over there in Godfrey, and Mr. Logan's done a good job of that. Yes, it seems like. With that, what are going into? Let's just talk about parks and Glazebrook a little bit. What are you most proud of when it comes to the park and recreation side of your administration?
Just the way Stamper Lane looks now. When I first became mayor, we had the ball diamonds, which they referred to them as the Quarry League diamonds, which were on the west side of Stamper, right when you first get out of Stamper.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go down to the main entrance to the original part of Glazebrook Park, and there was a soccer field there, a grass soccer field. Then there was the card maze.
Mm-hmm.
The card maze is still there. The soccer field is still there, but it's turf.
Right.
It's turf. In fact, the night I asked the board that I wanted to pursue it, after that meeting, a male trustee came up and hugged me, which shocked me. But anyway, that's the turf soccer field. Then moving up a little bit farther, you got pickleball courts.
Mm-hmm. Man, that took over quick.
Oh, I mean, we put additions onto that, wind screens, added lights.
It's pretty souped up over there.
It's pretty hot. Then you go a little bit farther, and you got the ball diamonds. We got 4 nice ball diamonds there. In fact, we're going to host a couple tournaments there this summer. And
wow.
Yes. And then you want to go a little bit east of the ball diamonds. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., we're having a groundbreaking for a dog park.
That's right. And what are your thoughts on the dog park?
All I know is since I've been mayor, people have come to our park board meetings wanting dog parks. Then, I don't know, about 4 months ago, an anonymous donor came to me and said she would like to help pay for a dog park.
Wow.
So we did some research, and we she taught me a little bit about dog parks, because every time we talked about it before, back when Torp Williams was here, they were worried about the odor. Mm-hmm. And she says that it's not that way. It's not as bad as people think. So if you got turf down there, you might have some odor. Mm-hmm. And so it'll have we haven't decided how we're going to have access to it with a key or a code or whatever. We go along those routes. But we're going to sell memberships very cheap, maybe $25 a year. But the main thing there is people got to prove to us their dogs have their shots.
Right.
And so I'm hoping that to be open sometime this April. But we're having the groundbreaking this Friday.
And, you've been a part of quite a few groundbreakings in your time in office. And just before we go any bit further into some of the things that are on voters' minds, what is the groundbreaking that you are the most proud of? If you could pinpoint a project, I know there's so many of them. It's kind of a softball without being one, but is there one project that you hold higher over or are most proud of?
Not park-wise. I think one thing I'm kind of proud of is the memorial signs you see for Blake Snyder,
Yep.
Jake Riggering,
Yep.
Torp Williams. I was instrumental. I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I got those things done. And those are three people I think people should always remember. And just yesterday, it was a 6-year anniversary of Jake Riggering, and they had a service out at the firehouse, and I went to it. It was pretty neat. All the firefighters lined up. There's firefighters from other fire departments. Alton was there. They all line up. They lower the flag to half-mast in a moment of silence. Then they salute for about a minute, then they raise it back up. It was pretty emotional and pretty cool.
I'm sure it was. And
yeah.
As we get further into this conversation, one of the things that I've seen a lot of on your campaign material was the property tax point of it. And I do want to ask you about this because property tax is becoming a point of, I don't want to say a campaign point in the Alton side or Wood River side, but we're hearing more and more about this property tax issue for local families. And this is something that you've been touting.
This is something I'm very, very proud of. I've always made the motion in our meetings to lower it. I've only been able to do that 7 times.
Wow.
Because you got to have the vote of the trustees. But since I've been mayor, we've actually lowered the tax levy. Most people, believe it or not, CJ, thinks their property tax bill comes to the village of Godfrey. It does not come to the village of Godfrey. Right now, less than 2% of that total people pay. I'll give you an example. If you pay about $3,200 in property tax, Godfrey gets about $60. And we're still financially sound. So my point here is you don't have to overtax the residents. And we're paying our bills, we're expanding our parks, we're fixing our roads. Since I've been mayor, we've taken 70 oil chip roads and turned them into asphalt roads.
Wow.
And that's very expensive, but we're doing it, and it's because we have a good team out there, and Godfrey's looking better and getting better.
And I wanted to ask, before we take a quick break, I think that's a great follow-up, too, is, sometimes when we hear about projects and we hear about improvements around the RiverBend region, the comment on cost comes into play so many times. Who do you credit in your administration or yourself or your team at large for, helping secure whatever funding is needed? How are you able to fund those projects?
When I first became mayor, we really didn't have a full-time mayor. We we contract. We didn't have a full engineer, is what I meant to say.
Okay.
Yeah, we contracted out engineers. We had 3 or 4 that were in that position, and I would work very hard with these people to get these STP grants from the federal government, and that lasted for about 8 years. Then we had a full-time engineer, which is Richard Barons, and from that point forward, he's the one that applies for all these grants.
Wow.
And he also applies for grants for the parks. He applies for grants for the roads. And we've been very fortunate to win a lot of grants by putting in the right documents and you can see what's going on, because your taxes aren't going up, but your community's getting better.
And on top of that, I wanted, before we take that pause, let's talk about Peachy Paws real quick, which was just discussed last night. What are your thoughts for that business now with that new addition on Delmar?
Well, I think they're taking a derelict piece of property that they're going to put $500,000 into it, and I feel well assured there won't be a noise problem. There won't be a odor problem. It's going to be run very professionally, and I think it's a sign of growth in the village of Godfrey, of good kind of growth. Because I know people that take their dogs as far as Maryville for doggy daycare.
It's true. That is true.
And so I think it's a good addition to the village of Godfrey. I know that the people that live close to it, some of them are against it, but the actual next door neighbor spoke in favor of it. And so I know the trustees had a tough time deciding how to vote, but I sincerely believe that we've done the right thing here. Even though there was an hour's worth of discussion on the issue, flip-flopping back and forth, and finally when we took the vote, it passed. Everybody voted in favor of it.
Was that one of the longest discussion periods you've seen in a while?
Yes, sir.
Hey, you have a moment to stick around?
Sure.
We'll take a quick break. I got to pay a quick bill. 1044, a little bit of change. We're coming back with the Mayor of Godfrey, Mike McCormick, as part of our candidate spotlight ahead of the consolidated election right after this on RiverBender.
Get access to care for anyone, anywhere, at any time. No appointments, no waiting rooms, no traveling. OSF on call.
Village Dispensary has the best deals in Godfrey, Illinois, with specials 5 days a week. Mondays, roll in the week with 20 to 30% off select pre-rolls. Tasty Tuesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select edibles. Waxy Wednesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select concentrate and vape brands. Thirsty Thursdays, sip and save with 20 to 30% off all drinks. Flower Friday, grabs like 3.5 gram flower deals starting at just $20. Village Dispensary, come meet your best buds.
Picture This and More has been a trusted name in the Alton community for more than 30 years, with the last 3 being right here on Broadway. We specialize in quality framing at affordable prices. We also feature works by local artists because we're proud of our community. If you have valued treasures to display and preserve, we're sure to have the perfect fit with our large selection of custom framing and display options. Whatever color, shape, or size, Picture This and More has the look you need. Stop by today and let us help you with your next project.
Looking for the best barbecue in Madison County? Head over to Carver's Barbecue in Godfrey, Illinois. From loaded barbecue nachos to mouth-watering pulled pork, brisket, ribs, and more, Carver's serves up award-winning flavors you'll love. Family-owned, Carver's is all about fresh, made in-house dishes served daily. Come visit us at 2716 Groveland in Godfrey, or give us a call at 618-467-9999. Order online, get it catered, or stop by for the best smoked meats around. Where great flavors meet family tradition, you'll find Carver's Barbecue.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
What they try to say, you were always there for me.
Welcome back, 10:49. A little bit of change on this Thursday morning. I forgot what day of the week it was when I started the show today. And, as we're getting back into this conversation, one of the bigger topics, I think, of Godfrey a couple of years ago, and now not as much, but still there, is the roundabout that's coming in. And I feel like it's important to talk about that because that is a top concern for some. What are your thoughts on this roundabout project? You came on the show 2 years ago and had a more than an almost 45-minute conversation about this, if I remember correctly.
Well, it's a great song by Yes, which people played for me just to stir me up. There's people out there trying to blame me for the roundabouts. Back in 2009, I did write a letter in favor of the roundabouts. That was after somebody from IDOT approached me, because we see this as being a good plan, something that would help your community. Mm-hmm. And I did write a letter of support. There's no doubt about that. And as I travel the country, and there's lots of roundabouts out there, they keep building them because they work. And what sold me on the roundabouts is the safety factor. There's less wrecks, and when they do have a wreck, there's no T-boning there. And it's a safety factor, and they keep building them because they work. And it's an IDOT project, and IDOT's spending a lot of money in our community, and I'd rather see them spend it in our community than a suburb of Chicago. And my stepdaughter works there at the dental office, mm-hmm. and she says, even though there's not a lot of police reports made on them, but there's lots of wrecks there right now. And especially when the schools are letting out, there's a line backed up from the stoplights, and that'll help the flow of that. And when they first announced the roundabout and had the meeting, they said they were going to completely close it. And the next morning, I was at Amy Elick's office. We got C.D. Davidsmeyer involved. We got Senator Harris involved. And within about 4 days, IDOT had changed their plans. They're not going to close. Traffic will continue to flow through that area with hardly any
really
problems. Yes.
See, I didn't realize I didn't realize that secondary component. So the road's not going to be completely closed.
No.
Wow. Now, does that I'm assuming would extend construction time a bit.
That was the trade-off.
Okay. Well, and it's a great kind of notion just for the public to know about too, in case they didn't know about that, or just for any thoughts they might have on that roundabout issue. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about was going back to the pandemic, and the pandemic affected so many small towns across America and really affected them badly. One of the things that I want to know more about is this voucher program, because I wasn't here in local media when this happened. I was in St. Louis, but read about it. What was the idea for the voucher program? What was the cost of that? Was that ARPA money? And what was really the mission behind that?
It was actually business district money.
Okay.
And Jim Baker, our economic development director, and I were bouncing back, trying to figure out a way to help our local businesses. And WBGZ has this voucher thing where you can call in and pay $10 and get a $20 gift card for somewhere. And I thought, well, why can't we do that? Let's see. So we went to the Big Z, said, would you handle this for us? So this helped the residents and it helped the businesses. They called in and said, I want a $20 gift card for Roper's or Ranch House or Josephine's. And they got a $20, it cost them $10. The $10 went to the business. They had a $20 gift card that they would go to the business. So just the other day at the Ranch House, I had a donut and coffee thing, and Mary Matthews, who's one of the owners of the Ranch House, started talking about the program, and while she was talking, she started tearing up. Her actual quotes were, I was able to hire people back, and it helped us make it through the pandemic. And I've heard the same words from Jeff Carver. I've heard the same. In fact, when I took a $5,000 check to Sherry Whitworth, who owns Josephine's, she cried. Very emotional to me.
Well, and that's what I'm curious to know, too. And this isn't, a gotcha thing or anything like that, but you were a small business owner.
Yes, I was.
And what are your thoughts about, young people starting businesses? What are your thoughts of what the village could do to get more support for those businesses, just like during the pandemic?
Well, we have stuff that we can help businesses with to a certain extent.
Okay.
And to me, that's the problem. People say, we need a Chick-fil-A, we need this. Well, first of all, that business is going to want to come to the village of Godfrey. And most of those businesses are franchises.
Yep.
And just like myself, when I worked at McDonnell Douglas, I just got tired of working for a corporation. I thought, let's throw the dice, and I opened up Emo's. And probably the smartest thing I've ever did in my life, except get elected mayor for Godfrey.
That's a good answer. I'll give you that. That's a pretty good answer. Well, and that's what, going back into this, and you mentioned your granddaughter's moving back into town, and is young families a goal of yours to increase the young amount of
Yes.
the number of young families
That's
in
the
there?
future.
And I wanted to go into that a little bit further, too, because there's a couple of other programs that the village has, too, like the Good Neighbor program and some of those things. Let's start there. Fill us in for the folks that aren't aware about the Good Neighbor program. I'm curious to know more.
This got started. I can't take credit for this. Trustee Sarah Woodman came up with the idea. It was all about a gentleman she noticed always walking on piers, sometimes on Stamper.
Picking up the trash.
Picking up trash.
Yep.
And that was the first one. So then we opened up the doors to please, if anybody can nominate anybody to be a good neighbor. And it has wound up, we've almost had one almost every month since this program started. And we've even honored a dog.
way. What did the dog do?
It was trained to be a service dog, and they would go to the hospitals and just go visit patients in nursing homes and hospitals, and the dog would cuddle up, which was
wow.
I think that was pretty nice.
How important is taking some time and working with the trustees on programs like that to recognize the community members too?
Well, that was easy. I mean, nobody'd be against that.
I'd hope not.
Now,
and another thing too, what I thought was really unique is seeing the growth of this Woodman Trail.
oh,
Because my parents live off of Breck Lane, and I grew up walking La Vista Park all the way down to the bluffs and hiking them as a kid and having numerous airsoft gunfights in there and all you could do.
climbing up to the cross.
Yep, all the time. Where do you see the growth of a Woodman Trail going? And what's your thoughts for the public on this project?
Well, have you been on it?
I can say I've not been on it yet.
I haven't walked it, but I took a golf cart on it, and it is beautiful. What part that we got completed, which is about 2/3 of it, and the most expensive part of it, because you get back there's hills and it's just beautiful. And then the next section will be from Rocky Fork Church over to Pierce Lane, then up Pierce Lane to Glazebrook Park. And what I was trying to sell is to get the grant money to do it. I was saying you could get on a bike at Lewis and Clark Community College and ride all the way to SIUE.
Oh,
And because of all of the nice bike paths they have over that way along the river, and that's what it's all about. And once again, having a nice bike path, a nice walking path, getting people to our community. People that live in River Air now can walk all the way down to the river and not worry about, being hit by a car. It's getting a lot of use from what I understand.
well, and with that being said too, what is your most, in terms of these projects, in terms of the developments like the Woodman Trail of Glazebrook expansion, when it comes to just infrastructure projects like that, what is your goal to expand on those? Are you good with where you are now?
No, you got to keep expanding. Yeah. And we're working on getting the grants for the next section, and which we will get them, because once again, going back to Richard Barron's, he puts together really good proposals, and you got to have the state money, you got to have the federal money, and we also get money from the county too. And I think the connections I have at the county are very important for the village of Godfrey, and the connections I have at the state. We mentioned earlier about the roundabouts. The next day, I had C.D. Davidsmeyer, Amy Elick, and Senator Harris in the same office that quick, because I know them all.
Right. Well, and that's a good point. And I, and not in a point of agreement, but in a point of you have to have those connections, because you got to know who you're going to call if something happens.
Exactly.
And you provided me something, and we'll make sure to include this, that this is about taxing bodies within the district, within the village. And Alton Community School District takes the biggest portion of that, but looking at this, and it's by a lot. The village of Godfrey is actually the lowest taxing body within this entire diagram. And when we talk about the taxing bodies too, because I know people open that bill up and they kind of roll their eyes when they see some of these taxing districts. What would you like people to know the most about their taxes when it refers to the village, and also maybe some of the other items that might be on that statement at the end of the year?
Well, a lot of people, like I mentioned earlier, think when they pay their property tax, it all comes to the village of Godfrey. No, it doesn't. And I mentioned before, less than 2% comes to the village of Godfrey.
Mm-hmm.
And when you compare it with every other community in Madison County, the village of Godfrey has the lowest tax levy by quite a bit compared to a lot of communities.
And what do you attribute that to?
I don't like taking credit, but my continue pushing to reduce the taxes. Like I said earlier, I had enough votes to reduce it 7 times. And the other times, they keep it flat. But since there's some growth in Godfrey, that spreads it out a little bit.
Gotcha.
So actually, people's property, even we keep the levy flat, still it goes down a little bit.
And as we're wrapping up this, because you're coming back on in a couple of weeks, and we'll come back and we'll go into an in-depth on taxes, because I think that's a really big thing for so many people. Is, you know, the bottom line is the biggest, I think, issue when it comes to potential voters. I wanted to ask you about a few more projects just really quickly. And I don't know if the building process started the first time you were elected with the car wash, but it's done now. What are your thoughts on this car wash?
I think it took, 3.5 years?
Yeah.
But I did get a free car wash there Saturday.
Did you?
They were. My wife said that, I don't know, she saw it on Facebook or something, which I don't do Facebook. Saw it on Facebook and said they're training their staff, they're giving free car washes. So I went up there and got a car wash. Jared Hansen is the guy that owns it. I'm a friend of his. And I tease him a little bit, but it took forever. But they ran into a lot of problems, and they had to change their plans 4 or 5 times. But it was a joke in our community. There's no doubt about it. Is the firehouse going to get done, or is the car wash going to get done? You know, is BJC's new building going to get done, or is the firehouse, or is the car wash going to get done?
You're right.
I mean,
I actually did a segment on what was built quicker before, like Dave Letterman. Suez Canal was my number one answer. But jokes aside, I really just wanted to bring that up because, you know, people were a little concerned, but it is built now. Yeah. And do you see that becoming a traffic issue at all next to that Quick Trip?
They guarantee me it shouldn't be.
Okay.
And time will tell on that.
And before I let you go for right now and come back and talk with you in a few weeks, I wanted to ask you actually about 2 more things. And one of them was on this. You recently voted you opposed the pay raise for the mayor.
I opposed the pay raise, and I refused to sign the ordinance, even though it took effect 10 days after. That's how it works. But I would not sign that ordinance. I fought against it. One term I refused to take a raise, which then I got in trouble with the attorneys. So, but I think whoever's the mayor of the village of Godfrey should do it for the good of the village of Godfrey, not to get a good big paycheck.
And one final question for you, Mayor, just for the time being, is on your street department. You know, during the 8 inches of snow that we encountered a few weeks ago, the ice and everything else, it really seemed like, you know, your department was moving as quickly as they could. I wanted to ask you, though, what do you think makes your street department effective? And if you could grade it, what would you grade your street department?
On a 1 to 10?
Mm-hmm.
10.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah. And a lot of that has to do with Jim Lewis, my director of maintenance.
Okay.
And the man, when we have a snowstorm, he sets his alarm and wakes up every hour or so just to check to see if it's snowing. And a lot of times when we're 100% sure, we call him in before the storm and pre-treat. And I don't want to downplay other communities, but whenever we have a big snowfall, you could tell a difference when you leave Godfrey.
What are you most proud of your street department?
Since I've been mayor, there hasn't been one time when we had a snow issue that any of our people didn't respond.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing. And that and the fact, since I've been mayor, we've invested in some equipment, and we're able now, like I mentioned earlier, switching so many streets from tar and chip to asphalt. That's through the public works, yes.
And before I let you go, what's your final thought just for the your constituents out there, the voters of the village of Godfrey, before I say goodbye for you for now and talk with you again in a couple of days?
Well, my line I've picked up, and I use it quite frequently, why switch quarterbacks when you're winning?
Mayor McCormick, thank you so much for your time. We're out of time today, but I will see you back here live at 9 for more of our daily show tomorrow. So join me then, won't you? Until then, one rule, one ask, one question, one statement. Try your best to stay out of jail.
Oh, yes, he did. He said he would.